Good morning.
Morning.
We had a little snafu with our video stream, so we had to recreate it, but now we are live again, so we're just hoping that our Grandfriends will be able to find the stream, and the nice thing is it's being recorded, so that our Grandfriends can find us a little bit later if they're not here with us exactly at this moment. So all is well now. And let's begin with our opening hymn. It's hymn 405.
First of all, I just want to say to Chaplain Amber, I appreciate you have many, many talents, and you managed to get this whole thing together and then manage the challenges of the internet, and we have help from others. I mean, Reverend Jay and Mr. Searson's from 8th grade, but thank you very much. I also want to say how wonderful it is. If we think back a year ago and think about where we are now, I'll speak mostly, I guess, for grown-ups, so maybe for all of us out here, how nice it is to have some of us in this chapel. So it's really nice to see all of you. What I'd like to say by words of welcome is really directed to our grandparents and grandfriends. Doesn't mean it shouldn't be of interest to all of you, but I want you to be thinking, if you have a grandfriend or a grandparent, even if they passed, and think about how they influence you. That's what I'm talking about this morning. So, I want to say welcome to what I like to call this Grandfriends Day, the annual meeting of the holders of unconditional love, otherwise known as Grandfriends Day. Let's take a moment for recognition of the simple fact that if all of you watching right now quiet your minds and then conjure up the 1, 2, or 3 young people that you have direct attachment to in our schoolhouse this morning, and let the feelings that come forth as you do, well, I think you may have done about as much as any collection of human beings could do to take steps toward a world that would be based and filled up with kindness and empathy and understanding and love. It is in the minds and hearts of the elders of a culture that the embrace of the potential of a human life is best captured. I truly believe that. I wish to suggest that the purpose that you have as grandfriends and grandparents is to be aware that it is through your mentorship that you are providing these young people with the capacity to come to adopt ways of living that you know through experience to be healthy and joyful. Through your example, over time, I believe you simplify for your grandchildren and grandfriends the recipe for happiness down to its most granular qualities. You see, I believe you as grandparents and grandfriends have something so centrally in common with children. Children are collectors. Pokemon cards, rock collectors, stuffed animal collectors. Even some of you 8th graders I know still have your stuffed animals. And you, the grandparents and grandfriends, are very experienced collectors as well. In your patterns and rituals, you have found value, purpose, and joy in the simple, accessible daily actions that predictably bring satisfaction. Let's not keep these secrets from our grandfriends or grandchildren. That a sunset is so beautiful, that the sound of a crack of a bat in the spring is, for those who love baseball, the sound of hope and possibility. That deep absorption in a craft or a hobby can be very, very satisfying, right to the depth of our souls. I stand here today as someone who has been the lifelong beneficiary of the collection of these simple values and rituals from my grandparents and grandfriends. Here, then, is my all-star lineup of the instillers of those life lessons. Ralph Lowell, my mother's father. Charlotte Loring Lowell, my mother's mother. And two grandfriends, not technically grandparents of mine, but two individuals who have had just that kind of influence. Billy Wheeler, my first and most favorite cousin, who was just enough older than me to shine like a star rather than pose as a competitor for prize status among my 24 first cousins. And Mrs. Colt, my art teacher, from grade 2 all the way to grade 12. What differentiates these elders, among the many I've had the good fortune to be surrounded by, is that I came to stand on every word they said, noticed most every action they took in my presence, and ultimately found and still find the roots of my values and many of my interests in what I captured from my relationship with them. I can trace the line back to the initiation of their influence, and if memory serves, I believe all of them had instilled their lessons prior to my teenage years. I love to read. That's Grandpa and Grandma Lowell. He started each day at dawn with a book in hand, and I do that now in my life. And she took me to the Hathaway bookstore in Wellesley, Massachusetts on my birthday from the time I was 10 till the time I was 22, gave me a large canvas bag, and told me to go fill it with as many books as I could fit in it. I love music, play the guitar. That's Mrs. Colt. She enhanced my interest in the Beatles and introduced me to Crosby, Stills, Nash & Young in 1970, and my music passions flared. I'm afraid of snakes. That's Grandpa Lowell. He took a cane on all his daily walks, where, by the way, I often was a companion. The cane was not needed for its stabilizing capacity, but it was there because it was a way of striking any slithering creatures he saw on his way, on his walk. Unfortunately, I've passed along the family snake phobia to my daughter Elizabeth. Not all of my grand inheritances have been beneficial, but they all provide great stories. I have an unwavering desire for justice and fairness. That's Mrs. Colt. She captured my heart in 1968 when I was 10 years old. The months that included Dr. King's and Robert Kennedy's assassinations, and helped me turn my sadness into considerations of social justice. I love the ever-changing presentation that the ocean reveals every day. That's my Grandma Lowell. She had a summer house by the sea and shared this thought with me as we sat on the porch during my summer visits and looked out over the Atlantic. I love to play outside and invent games where everyone feels they can succeed. That's Billy Wheeler. He built a baseball diamond in my front yard, complete with rickety plywood dugouts and an on-deck circle, and then whirled wiffle balls all day long as we imagined ourselves as our favorite baseball stars. I cry easily when I'm in the witness, without them knowing, of my children fully engaged in virtually anything. I remember well that Grandpa Lowell wept tears of love whenever I simply came into his presence. I even remember giving him my report card from school one day that had a C- on it, and he wept with joy. That's unconditional love. And what's perhaps most beautiful about these facts is that I have the artifacts that remind me of this always close by, right here in my office at school. My grandmother, when I got all those books, she signed every single one of them inside with my birth date and said, "Happy birthday." So right here on this one, it says, Ralph Lowell Wales from Grandma Lowell, May 25th, 1971. I got this book. For those of you who like baseball, I know it's a tiresome topic that you hear from me. It's Ball 4, which is just a Bible for baseball fans. This is a paperweight I have on my desk. It's a picture of Nahant, where I sat on the porch, or sit on the porch still, where my grandmother and I talked about the beauty of the ocean. It's almost not Chaplain. Yeah. Some of our fifth graders know that I love to play wiffle ball out here in South Lawn Field, the best ballpark in the country. I'm always prepared for a good wiffle ball game. That's Billy Wheeler, wiffle ball and bat. More than you know, whether grandparent or grandfriend, you may be the root cause of interests, the makers of passions, the instillers of hobbies, the examples of what matters most in living a worthy and good life. Too often, those of us who parent, and I count myself in that category, complicate the process of education and growing up. We take our adult worries and we think they should be the foundation of the lessons we want our children to learn. We see a storm brewing, and we want to be certain that when the children grab the wheel, they'll be able to navigate to the shore. But our children, your grandchildren and young grandfriends, they see no storm. Their days are different from those who guide them through each of their days like parents do. Children live in the moment, and today, they live in the moment with all of you, our grandfriends and our grandparents. So, please take a walk and watch out for the snakes. Enter a bookstore and tell your grandchild to gather up as many books as a canvas bag can hold. Make up a game where everyone giggles, and win or lose, it's so much fun. The only focus is when you'll play it again. And most of all, do your good work that comes from the values you inherited when you were being grandparented and mentored. Grandparents and grandfriends, keep modeling the things that matter most, the collectibles of a good life that only your longevity and perspective allows children to learn and carry forward into their lives. The children are listening, watching, learning, and without even knowing, collecting your patterns that are imprinting simply because you love these young people to the depth of your souls. Please go forth and do your good work. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wills. The kindergarten class will sing You Are My Sunshine and Halloween is Coming. Come on up, kindergarten. part of the country, we are happy that we are having gray skies, like the ones that the kindergartners sang about today, which is a little bit unusual for us in October, but much needed. So we'll wait for our sunshine, right, kindergarten, and be glad for some rain. The first graders now are going to come up and sing Carving Pumpkins and Flit and Fly. The second grade class will sing Gratitude Attitude. will now lead us in the Jubilate for young children.
Please join with me in reading the Jubilate, which can be found on page 25 in the chapter book for young children. We will read this song responsibly. This Sunday lectern is that day, and that Sunday lectern is that day. Be joyful in the Lord.
Serve God with gladness. We belong to God, and we give God thanks.
Be joyful in the Lord.
Serve God with gladness.
The third grade class will sing Born to Make Music.
Ellen, you want to stay there? Bob? Anderson. Carson? Eric? Eric, right here. Okay, remember you're the first row, so come up here. Okay, second row, you're behind me, right? Right? Find your window, Franz. There you go. Okay, find a window.
to meet their grandparents because their grandparents' slot is at 9:20, but we are not done with chapel yet. So we're just letting them slip out while PJ comes to read our scripture lesson.
A reading from Paul's letter. A reading from Paul's letter to the Hebrews. A huge cloud of witnesses is all around us. So let us throw off everything that stands in our way. Let us throw off any sin that holds on to us so tightly, and let us keep on running the race marked out for us. Let us keep looking to Jesus. He is the one who started this journey of faith, and He is the one who completes the journey of faith. He paid no attention to the shame of the cross. He suffered there because of the joy He was looking forward to. Then He sat down at the right hand of the throne of God. He made it through His attacks by sinners. So think about Him. You won't get tired. You won't lose hope. A word of the Lord.
Thanks be to God. Some of you who have been at this school for a while know that I have a special talent. I can draw a picture of God. But I don't know that all of our grandfriends watching today have seen my gift. So I want to show you. Are you ready to be amazed? Are you ready? What do you think? How good is my picture? Is it pretty accurate? Is it showing you a lot about what God is like? Oh, I'm getting more thumbs up. I was expecting maybe some thumbs downs. I don't know. Oh, I see. Okay, I see a couple now. All right. Well, I draw God this way because nobody knows what God looks like. We can know God. We can feel God's love and God's forgiveness. We can be friends with God, but we never completely understand God. Muslims have an amazing idea about the 100th mysterious name for God that always remains unknown, even though 99 names for God, or Allah in Arabic, are listed in the Quran. And Christians talk about God as a mystery, not like a Nancy Drew or Hardy Boys whodunit kind of mystery, where the clues lead to the bad guy, but a holy mystery that draws us deeper into connection with God without giving us all the answers. People who don't follow a religion might think about this mystery as the spirit of love and connection and purpose and mutual responsibility that binds all the humans on earth together. That mysterious something bigger than ourselves that inspires us to be better people, striving to make the world a better place. There are stories in the Bible where God's glory comes down from heaven and fills the temple like a cloud. And today, in the lesson that PJ read for us, we hear about another cloud, a huge cloud of witnesses that is all around us. Who is St. Paul talking about? Well, he's talking about the people who have already died and gone to be with God, who have become part of the mystery of God, part of the cloud. When I think about the cloud of witnesses, I think about my dad, who died in September, and my grandparents. I think about them going to be with God. And I think about the holy people that we learned about in chapel this month. Absalom Jones, Florence Nightingale, Pandita Ramabai, John Coltrane, and Reverend Jay's great aunt who loved non-competitive Scrabble. I even think about the great philosophers that we're learning about in 8th grade. Socrates, Plato, Aristotle. They sought wisdom in order to live a good life. You might think about loved ones that you've lost. Important people in history, maybe even ancestors that you never met but are important to your family. St. Paul is telling us that this cloud of witnesses is watching us from up in heaven, and they want us to keep moving forward on our journey of faith. They are cheering us on as we run a race that is sometimes hard and sometimes scary. This is the journey on which we grow and learn and love. We serve others and show compassion. This is the journey of our lives, in which we hope to make a difference, to make the world better in 1,000 million small ways, and maybe some really big ways too. Since the last time we all gathered for Grandfriends, we've had another year of wearing masks, of worrying about COVID and if it's safe to travel, of meeting on Zoom, and also our school has a new name. We went from being St. Matthew's Episcopal Day School to being Episcopal Day, School of St. Matthew. We are saying that our Episcopal identity defines who we are as a school. Now, in the Episcopal Church, there was a theologian named Richard Hooker. Mr. Robinson taught us about him on Tuesday in the middle school chapel. And he lived back in the 1500s, and he defined how Episcopalians would be a church. He said that to stand firm over time and to keep running the race and journeying towards God, we would need to stand on a three-legged stool. And the legs of the stool would be our Bible, our traditions, and our powerful human brains, each as an equal leg, balancing to keep us on a solid foundation. Our school stands on these legs, but we aren't only Christians. We are Jews, Muslims, Hindus, Jains, Sikhs, Buddhists, atheists, and humanists. Maybe some of us are even mixtures of these faiths, bi-religious or maybe religion fluid. I think that's cool too. If God is a mystery, we need as much wisdom and flexibility in our understanding and our imagination as possible. We need to keep stretching our brains and our hearts a little more every day, striving to understand the holy mystery of who God is and who we are and who we should be trying to become, or the purpose that we choose for our lives in partnership with God. As a school of many faiths, our stool is a little bit different than Richard Hooker's. One leg that holds up our school is spirit, that little spark of sacred life, the human/divine holiness that lives inside all people and gives us joy and inspiration. That's the spirit that has us cheering at sports games and saying, "Go Mustangs!" in chapel. Another leg of our stool is our purpose, that stretching and growing journey along our pilgrim's path toward God and goodness and our better selves. And the last leg is responsibility, our commitments to others, our friends, our neighbors, and strangers, to love and serve and make the world better. This school rests on these three legs, and it rests on all of you, our students, our teachers. It rests on all of you who are watching, our parents, our grandfriends. All of us honoring these things that hold up the school. Like Hooker said, it's our brains, our traditions, our holy books, it's our spirit, our purpose, and our responsibility. And all of us in life are being cheered on by the cloud of witnesses that has gone before us. One day we will move on from St. Matthew's. We will graduate, retire, move away. But we will keep watching and cheering on the purposeful pilgrims at our school, learning, growing, becoming better to make the world better. Today, on Grandfriends Day, we celebrate the cloud of witnesses who are our holy and inspiring ancestors of all faiths. And we celebrate the loving friends and family who hold us up on our journeys of faith and growing and responsibility. It's a joyful journey, thanks to you. And although we miss having you squished into the church with us, if those of you who've been here on Grandfriends Day, it's pretty crowded in here. We miss having you here squished with us. But we are so very glad that we could be here singing together like this, since we couldn't do that last year. That we could sing in celebration of you, our grandfriends, and celebrating that you are part of our lives. And now the chapel choir will sing Under One Sky, and after that we will sing about the cloud of witnesses in a famous old song from New Orleans about how we are all marching towards goodness and light and the mystery of God together. We'll sing O in the Saints. Please stand and join in singing our closing song. It's on page 90 in our chapel books. I bet you know the words at home. It is, "Oh, when the Saints Go Marching In." Your Creator has made you holy, has always protected you, and loves you as a mother. Go in peace to follow the good road, and the blessing of God, Creator, Redeemer, and Sanctifier be among you and remain with you always.
Amen.
Go in peace to love and serve all people.
Amen.